we interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you a special presentation of
Two Nerds, a podcast. Your home for everything movies, music, video games, and everything in between. With your hosts, Bunny the Bruiser, and Dynamite, Jarrod.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Two Nerds, a podcast. We are Two Nerds. This is a podcast. I am Bunny the Bruiser. Always with the awkward pause.
I'm Dynamite Jarrod.
And
I'm Midnight Miles.
making his illustrious return to Two Nerds, a podcast, one of our few recurring characters.
No Stella Artois today.
No Stella.
I thought about it. I was at the store yesterday and I grabbed a High Life 40 instead because it sounded better.
Boys, very heavily anticipated episode, very heavily anticipated film for all of us. We are, of course, here to talk about Godzilla vs. Kong. Miles.
Not King Kong versus Godzilla.
No, not to be confused with the 1962 classic King Kong vs. Godzilla.
This is the 2021 classic Godzilla vs. Kong.
Miles,
Yes.
since you are a guest, it has been documented on the podcast before Jarrod and I's thoughts on Godzilla 2014 and Godzilla King of the Monsters. Okay. We've yet to get your opinion on either of these films. So, I know, I was talking about I wanted to rewatch them before we did this to have it fresh in my mind.
That's 5 hours of your life.
But that's 5 hours of my life.
I feel like I also need to rewatch them, but I also feel like, being honest, 2014 Godzilla's really entertaining, but at the same time, it's not very good, if I remember right, when I really think about it. Like it has fun and great moments with Godzilla, and it sets up like that new, I don't say a new universe, but they're trying to create everything to build to the film that we're talking about now. And I feel like I don't know, there's not enough on-screen Godzilla time. There's not really enough on-screen monster time in 2014, right? If I remember right.
Right,
I think that it's like 2014 is the exact opposite of what you said, where I think that it is a pretty good film, but it's not a very entertaining film. That's my opinion on Godzilla 2014, and that's why ultimately I've docked it like a half a star every time.
Elizabeth Olsen's in it, right? Though.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a 5-star film then.
I think it's a really good film. Like pretty good acting. Bryan Cranston was good for the 10 seconds that he was.
Yeah,
in.
that's they hyped up. Like, I remember the trailers came out for that, and they're like, oh man, they got all these great actors in it. Maybe they're actually gonna write a real human story, and then the trailer is literally the first like 10 minutes, and then everything happens, and you're like, oh, never mind. Like now we have an hour and 45 minutes of whatever, and like not that much Godzilla.
That's what I came away from the movie. That's why I say it wasn't that entertaining, because I came away from it very just disappointed in the amount of Godzilla, because I've been waiting for so long for this fucking movie.
Those trailers when that was about to come out were fucking great, if I remember.
I was so excited when those trailers came out.
I was super hyped.
Well, we were hype, and I remember even being hype after watching the film.
Yeah, we gave it a very high
But then,
score.
upon like further reflection, and then especially once King of Monsters came out, it's like, damn, this first one kind of fucking sucked.
Because I don't want to go as far as to say that it sucked, because like I said, I think that it was a good film. I think that it was, it was shot well. I think that good acting, good pretty much everything. I think that overall a good story. I think overall it was just like a good movie.
It's a good setup movie.
It was a good movie, but it wasn't a very entertaining movie. That was my big beef. And when I want to watch a Godzilla movie, aside from Gojira, right, I want to watch an entertaining fucking movie. That's what I go into kaiju movies looking for, is just big time entertainment value. And that's why when King of the Monsters came out, and I walked out of the theater super satisfied, because it gave me everything I wanted. It just entertained me from start to finish.
I've only seen King of Monsters once. I've seen Godzilla 2014 twice.
I've only seen both of them once either.
Same.
King of Monsters, though, I remember towards the end, the palette of the film, like I liked the film, but I saw it on the same theater we saw Godzilla vs. Kong on. But I was
It's Miles' favorite cinema.
When Ghidorah's like fucking coming through the fucking sandstorm, Miles is probably just like, fuck, I can't see anything.
I was farther back. That's like my go-to theater. So I could see, I was like, I have to see things in the biggest possible theater with the best sound. And it was fucking...
Talk about this theater so the viewer can fucking...
So, So this theater is bigger than IMAX. It's been whatever. It's the biggest. I think it's one of the, like, this style of theater is one of the biggest in America from what I've like read or heard. And the screen's fucking huge. They have extra sound in there to make sure that everything's like loud as shit. But
You're like vibrating when fucking Kong stomps on the fucking ground, like your seat fucking moves.
But if you sit within the first like 5 sections,
you can't see shit.
Fucked. Like, I'm actually surprised at how good Godzilla vs. Kong looked. Like, I thought, like, when we were singing, I was like, we're gonna be able to handle second row, but at the same time, we're not gonna be able to handle. It's like when you were like, yeah, I can get the tickets here. I was like, we'll make it. Everything's gonna be fine. But we're probably.
I meant to tell Maisie. She like totally miscommunicated what I said because I like said like there's no way in fucking hell I'm sitting in the front row and I don't really want to sit in the second row. I was like, I don't mind sitting on the sides. And then she just went on there and been like, he doesn't want to sit in the front row. And then you were like, second row it is. And then I saw that and I was like, I wanted to sit farther back. I don't give a fuck if I'm on the sides or not.
At least the second row at this theater has that massive gap between the first row because if it would have been,
it still felt like I was swallowing the screen the entire time.
The screen's it's still fucking.
Or
gigantic.
the screen was swallowing me.
It was still gigantic. There were some times where I think my eyes had to adjust during the trailers or in the beginning of the film where I was like, this is so big, like I can't. And then thankfully I kind of like adjusted and I was like, okay, I can watch this now. But King of Monsters.
I probably missed like half the movie because I can only focus on one part of the screen at a time. We were so fucking close.
I feel like the film, before we get too much in it, went very fast though. And like when I was thinking about it for this podcast, I was like, do I even fucking remember anything that happened?
I remember everything.
I remember everything.
I remember everything.
But yes,
because
this
it was just like boom, 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 boom. But like, because there was no fluff in it, so it was just like shit fucking happened, and I loved it. It was just like fucking coming at you, and I was like, like fuck, this rules because it never lost me. Like the original 2014 Godzilla, that shit lost me a couple times where they're just sitting there fucking talking, and I'm just like, show me the fucking lizard, dude. I just want to see the fucking big lizard. Get him on the fucking screen.
But the second one was a very long film. The second one was like almost 2.5 hours. But that one, I feel like there was not one point in the second one where I was bored at all, even with the length.
King of Monsters could have been even longer for me. My only thing that like I remember from like leaving that bothered me was like some of like the final fight scenes were so gray and like the palette they used was so fucking dark like towards the end of the film that it like bothered me where it looked like muddy. Like the whole like couple of the end segments, and it was just because the way that they used the lighting and stuff, like
every fight was in some sort of sandstorm.
It's a torrential
rainstorm.
Yeah,
like it was always dark and fucked up.
So dark in a couple.
That's to cover up the CG, but like that's what like I have them ranked equally right now on Letterboxd, but like since there isn't quarter stars or anything like that, that's what gives Godzilla vs. Kong, spoiler alert for me, I think is the best in the series because a lot of the fight scenes were just fucking
like broad.
First off, choreographed better.
They're choreographed better,
and like we're in daylight and just super fucking easy to see. I could tell what was going on.
That's definitely like the biggest edge that this one has over the other films because the first film you barely see the fights ever.
You want one? Yeah.
It's fine, I'll cut it out.
I'll be right back. No, keep talking.
In the first one, you barely see the fights ever because it'll keep cutting back.
Half the fucking fight is like on like a tiny TV screen, like the first time they fight.
And then in the second one, it's always a torrential downpour or a fucking sandstorm. In this one, it has the edge with the action for sure because even when it is during the nighttime, they're fighting in like this neon city.
Bright neon lit city, yeah.
Yeah, and then the other fight is during the day. So you can see everything. Everything is choreographed. It's not like...
And by the time that fucking Mechagodzilla,
Spoiler alert for all of us.
Spoiler alert.
Fine. Everything's fine.
by the time Mechagodzilla busts out, I'm pretty sure it's fucking daytime again, right? The sun's like coming up.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like, it's like starting to come up by the time they're like reviving Kong.
Yeah, which we'll get to. But
I feel like most of the fights and most of the extreme CG close-ups in this were broad daylight, and it was like very good. Like my biggest thing was, and I think it's because we were sitting too close, that sometimes Godzilla looked blurry, or like the way they did his body looked rough to me, but then I'd look at his face and it would be good. But I think it's just because we were so close. That's the hardest thing about watching this film, where like before we even did this podcast, I was like, damn, I kind of wish I could watch this film like again to get like a little bit better of a vibe.
I wish I could watch it from the last row.
Well, that's like
when there's an early shot of Godzilla that looks fucking incredible. When he first appears, and his head is like kind of like halfway out of water, and his mouth is just open, just like right in the screen. I literally thought Godzilla was about to eat me because we were so close to this gigantic screen. It was about exactly probably the right scale to what Godzilla would look like if you were about to just go inside of his fucking mouth.
There's that scene too where like the camera went way high in the sky. I think it's during the Mechagodzilla fight, and I'm jumping a little bit ahead. And then the camera looked right down, and Godzilla opens his mouth to roar, and you can see like the energy and everything inside of him, and his eyes go that blue-green because he's about to power up, and the camera zooms right into him, and I'm like, fuck, that scene is brilliant. Like, I was just like,
he looked a little skinny in that scene.
I still thought though, like the angle for them to be able to do that, like in CG, for them to get that angle and like that, like I would guess I would say confidence of that. I was just like, damn, that's a really cool, like, I don't know if I've seen anyone with CG, even like the Marvel shit, get like that was a confident shot to me for them to be able to do that.
Marvel
like,
CG
cool.
Sucks.
yeah.
I'm not going to disagree, so.
We complained a lot about where we were like sitting in the theater, but I definitely am incredibly thankful we were able to see this in the theater. Like, if I was like,
there's no other way. There's no other way to see it.
Disclaimer: I used to go to the theater 2 to 3 times a week. Like I would max out like the cheaper showings. Like when the theaters have a bunch of like $6 showings, things like that. Before, like I knew how to see. I could go to the theater 3 times a week and only spend $20-some bucks. And I haven't been to a theater in. The last time I was in the theater, I think it was the first week or second week of March 2020.
The last one I saw was Sonic in like
and I didn't even get to see
yeah.
that because it was just because there was a bunch of independent shit out at the time that I wanted to see, but I didn't know COVID obviously was gonna, everything was gonna happen. But when this was gonna come out, I was like, if there's gonna be something I am gonna go see in theaters, it has to be this,
right.
Because this needs to be seen on a massive scale. Like, I know multiple people watch it. Oh, I watch it at HBO Max at home. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I have a fucking great TV. But I am not going to watch Godzilla vs. Kong the first time on my fucking TV.
I'll tell you this right now, and I'm pretty sure it's applied to me for every Godzilla movie that's come out, theatrical release, in my lifetime, aside from Godzilla 2000. For whatever reason, I didn't end up in theaters to see that.
I never saw that in theaters, no.
But it did get a wide theatrical release.
It did, because I remember it played at the mall.
Huge. Like, that was supposed to be
huge, like a lot of commercials and whatever. But as far as I can recall, correct me if I'm wrong, every Godzilla film that's come out theatrically besides Godzilla 2000 in my lifetime in America, I've seen in theaters.
Final Wars?
Huh? Was that a wide theatrical release?
No.
I'm saying wide theatrical release.
Okay, because I know they had like... That was like a big limited release. I just wasn't sure if you did see it in theaters. I know that was...
Well, because the only ones that
I didn't even... I kind of knew it existed, but I didn't know about any limited theatrical release. The first release I was aware of it was, the DVD when fucking Dan was like, I got it. And like,
I rented that. I rented that from Blockbuster Day.
I was hyped for it for a long time because I knew that Godzilla was gonna fight like basically every fucking monster ever, and so I was like really hyped for it. By the way, like fucking top 5 Godzilla films.
Final Wars?
Oh, dude.
Final Wars is so good. It's
so fucking good.
How good that film is.
If
someone hasn't watched that, that's listening to this podcast, watch Final Wars. insane good.
There's no boring parts. There's the humans fighting and the monsters fighting. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, like... It's a kung fu
like
movie
half the
with
movie is
kaiju.
literally just a montage of Godzilla beating the shit out of a monster.
So good.
Yeah.
So let's get back into Godzilla vs. Kong. You asked me I thought of the other film, so we haven't even got into Godzilla vs. Kong yet, so you guys lead me in. Let me know what you want, you know?
Well, okay, so I guess I'll say this as a preface to all of this, because Jarrod was giving me shit in the group message about my Letterboxd score, and I just want to turn back the time to 2019, because on the way over, I had finished listening to whatever I was listening to, so I was like, fuck it, I'm going to put on the podcast that Jarrod and I did when we recorded King of the Monsters. Don't you know the first fucking thing Jarrod says? I can't believe you rated King of Monsters 3 stars. It's the same exact thing he said about this one. And during the course of the podcast, I had upgraded it to 3.5.
Okay,
King of
well, this
Monsters.
should get bumped up to like a 3.5 or a 4.
And you said you were at Yankees furious at me screaming when you saw my
I
Letterboxd
was
rating.
so pissed. I'm furious. Because I saw that movie and it was just an absolute fucking blast for me. It's so fun to see in the theaters. But what I was saying, we also saw Shin Godzilla in theaters.
Yeah.
Which was a limited release. I plan for the rest of my life to see every
Shit, I just realized I have not seen Shin Godzilla.
I mean-
I'll admit that right on the. And
Don't worry about it.
I mean,
Don't
it's
worry about
it's
it.
fine.
You'll probably love it, actually. But as far as Godzilla
It's a
movies,
Miles film. It is a Miles
As far as Godzilla films that are like probably good movies, but not very entertaining, Shin Godzilla is up there. And shout out to Rival Podcast. What's Keller's podcast?
Bro, don't quote me right now. I don't know, honestly.
Shout out to Keller's podcast. Fucking Bored to Life. Keller gave Shin Godzilla a higher score. He ranked it higher than Gojira. And I was like, you are a fucking idiot. He ranked it higher than Gojira, and I was like, you're so fucking stupid. It's not even close. It's not even close. People suck off Shin Godzilla so bad, and it's like one of the most boring fucking movies I've ever seen. I passed out in the theater like 16 times and didn't miss anything because Godzilla's frozen for like 90% of the movie.
We were also in a coma because we just had unlimited wings shortly before seeing it, but that's fine.
That's fine. We got through the movie faster.
Yeah.
Didn't Menor get that? Because that was one of the places.
We saw it in Tinseltown?
We went to Erie, yeah.
Oh, Erie. Yeah. I remember that it had like limited, but like Ohio got quite a bit, and I guess Erie too, but Ohio got quite a bit of screenings.
But yeah, regardless, I plan on seeing every fucking Godzilla film in theaters as they come out from now on. So if Toho puts one out, I'm sure it'll get a limited release stateside. I'll track down the theater and go see it there.
Cleveland will definitely. It is nice living in Cleveland because Cleveland gets like any
a lot
of the
of
limited
stuff.
stuff. Cleveland gets so much shit, and it's great. Like that's definitely one of the reasons that like there are a lot of times I don't like living in Cleveland, but at the same time, the stuff that when you actually look at their theaters as a whole, and that stuff, the people that run the theaters out there, like search stuff out, like. It's great.
I'm just laughing at this podcast right now because it's like we're trying. It seems like we're trying so hard not to talk about what the thumbnail is going to be.
I know.
Like this whole the whole first section of this podcast could be its own mini-sode, so that might come out a little later. We'll figure out.
Do we need to do another intro right now?
No, everything will be fine. I'll take care of it in post.
How long is it? I was gonna say
somebody's gonna be like, "Fuck, this intro sounds very familiar."
But for those of you,
I think you can.
But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So this might be a two-parter, but we'll see. But the last thing I'll say about our
it's good. I think Miles should be on the podcast like every fucking week if we could.
If we'll show up on time.
If we could do it logistically.
If my house isn't fucking burned down, I don't die somehow on the way here.
But the last thing I'll say about the 2019 podcast that we did, one of our main complaints about the film was if Godzilla is out there being the king of the monsters, there's all this shit going on. Where the fuck is Kong? Like, why hasn't Kong responded to any of this shit that's going on? And in the first beginning portions of this film, we find out why. So that sort of fixes something from the last film that we didn't like. So,
it was
just throwing that out there.
I do like that he was like, it started, because let's just start talking about the film now as we're doing, but he's in the dome. Spoilers, all the spoilers.
He isn't even like a spoiler. It's like the first 10 seconds of the movie.
Still, if no one's watched it, if no one hasn't gone to the theater.
Fucking Poggy didn't know they fought on an aircraft carrier until I watched the movie. I was like, "Are you in? How
It's
do you
in
not know?"
every trailer.
How do you
on
know? It's
every-
literally the entire trailer for everything.
But yeah, so Kong is living. They've
Somewhere on Skull Island, there's a
They-
big graphic.
like,
somewhere on Skull Island.
they-
How fucking big is Skull Island?
It was pretty okay. On a side note, and I'm not going to get off this too much. Someone put a meme today of Kong Skull Island, which I think we all need to revisit. Cause I really like that film.
I've retroactively bumped the score up for it. It's like tied. I hated on it at the time. I gave it
I
two.
loved it. I
gave it
loved it.
2.5 at the time because
Ooh, that's too low.
Because the Godzilla fan in me was like, I can't like this more than Godzilla 2014. I can't.
There's this scene,
And I think I do.
there's this scene. This was like a mainstream meme site, but the scene was like. Kong Skull Island is one of the funniest sets of all time. There's a scene where the guy,
I saw
one of
that
the
tweet
military
today, yeah.
guys,
Yeah, I saw that
walks
today.
up holding both the fucking like grenades and opens them, and that like monster comes up.
One
with
of the
a giant
jobber
tail.
monsters.
Jobber
Yeah,
monster.
yeah.
And
The Skull Diggers. They have a name.
Yeah,
They,
okay. Oh, Jarrod cared a little bit more. He knows the name.
They say it in this movie, in the
okay.
Godzilla vs. Kong. Fucking
And-
Millie Bobby Brown, for some reason, is like, Skull Diggers? Like, bitch, you
no
were
good.
not on Skull Island in 1950, whatever.
And the thing walks up and realizes that it's going to be exploded and was like, look at this fucking stupid human, and tail whips him like literally like a mile into a mountain, and when he hits the mountain, the fucking grenades explode, and I was watching this and I threw my phone across the room because I was literally crying because honestly that death was flawed. Like I was just like, this is fucking amazing because it tail whips him and he flies like into the side of a cliff for like a mile, and you see his body like this with the grenades, and then he hits and just explodes into pieces.
I'll say that Kong Skull Island, and I think I said, we did a podcast episode about Kong Skull Island.
I think we mentioned it. We didn't do a full show about it because both of us watched it at least I watched it way after it came out, so we didn't
Oh,
focus.
really?
Like,
I saw it in
saw it in
theaters.
theater,
I saw it in theaters.
yeah,
for
I didn't see it in theaters. I think we mentioned it like after I watched it, but we didn't devote a whole episode to it.
My, what was I going to say? My biggest critique of Kong Skull Island was that, and my biggest critique of this film, again, is that we still don't have a clear idea of what Kong's genitalia looks like.
We see
need to
him
see
full
that big ass
frontal.
dick,
we
dude.
see him full frontal in this multiple times, and it must be pretty fucking small.
A tiny penis.
And it's covered
He's
up by fur.
roided. He's too roided, bro. He doesn't have a good dick.
But I was going to say that I think that Kong Skull Island, and maybe I haven't actually watched Peter Jackson's all the way through. But
I've fallen asleep twice during that, and I hate to admit that, but I'll admit it right now. And
that's fine, because what I'm about to say is I think that Kong Skull Island's probably the best Kong movie aside from the original.
I can agree with that from everything I've seen 100%.
I mean, I haven't seen the 70s Kong, but I would imagine it's not even in the same stratosphere
I've
as
heard
the other
the
ones.
70s Kong, like, I've read articles that, like, it's pretty fucking good. I've never seen that either, actually, so I'm gonna admit that also right here.
It's just like a remake of the original, except he climbs up the fucking World Trade Center, rest in peace.
Is it-
Instead of the Empire State Building.
Is Donald Sutherland the main character in that?
What's the guy that plays the Big Lebowski? He's the main character. I forget his fucking name, I think. In the
Jeff
70s.
fucking Bridges?
I think so. I think Jeff Bridges is in.
Was it not Donald Sutherland? They look a little similar, to be honest.
I'll look it up right now if you guys want to talk about other things.
We'll
get
watch.
let's get
If we
back
can
to
get
Kong.
Miles on the podcast again, well, we will have you on the podcast
I'll
again
be
next
on it.
week for WrestleMania.
You're-
But if we can get you on the podcast the week after that, we'll watch the 1970s Kong.
Who's the star of this film? Jeff Bridges?
Jeff Bridges, yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff Bridges is a fucking legend.
The King. Fucking Big Lebowski, bro.
We'll watch fucking goddamn 1970s Kong.
I would be actually super into that if you can find it. If you have it.
I mean, I'm
Some
sure.
bourbon
I'm
five
sure.
times.
I'm
it
sure
could
we
be-
could get it somewhere. This is the fucking
guarantee
the
it-
age of media right now.
I used to have it on my DVR, like an uncut version when I lived on the east side, like because I had a ton of like it was.
Do we
shown
need to
on-
watch Kong Escapes as well?
No. Well, maybe.
It looked pretty fucking
I've
badass.
seen honestly like. I know that Kong.
He fights Mecha Kong.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
The 70s Kong is on HBO Max right now.
Okay, so
so I mean, we can
Just give me your
Kong like
password.
has obviously like a ton of like obviously.
or we can watch it like early. Well,
we'll watch it sometime.
yeah.
Kong doesn't have as many films as Godzilla. I was always a King Kong fan. I love the 1933 King Kong, obviously.
Who doesn't?
I don't know.
Like,
James Rolfe says it's the best film
He
of
says
all time.
he says it's greater than Citizen Kane. He said.
I mean, I agree.
He said there's no reason why this shouldn't be in the running for fucking greatest movie of all time.
It rips. I
agree. It's one of the most iconic films ever made.
Yeah.
And for some reason, it's never spoken of in that light, though.
Think about
as
like
greatest
seeing
movie
that
of all
in
time.
1933. Like, could you even fucking imagine? Like,
Well, like they had
It'd
to
be the most
invent
insane
everything.
thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
you'd walk out of the theater and be like, "This was the coolest thing I've ever watched ever." Like ever.
I'd be jacking off like the second.
And there's nudity. That was a pre-code, so there's nudity in it too. So not only are you seeing Kong, you're seeing tits on the screen too.
Right.
So
Yeah, the original King Kong's great. As far as my favorite giant monster film of all time, it's not it. It's Gojira.
No, yeah,
it's Gojira.
Gojira is obviously good. I think everyone can agree. Gojira is better.
My rating for King Kong was probably criminally low, honestly. I go look at Letterboxd. I haven't watched it in like 10 billion years.
Say, I don't think I've rated it on Letterboxd. I should probably rewatch and go back and do all that.
I rewatched it in preparation for this. It's a solid 4.5.
Okay, I'm gonna talk
The original Kong?
4.5. Yeah.
I'm gonna talk about Godzilla and Kong. I'm gonna throw some stuff out. Pacing's great. Fights were fucking great. Story made complete sense.
Not always, but that's fine.
For what?
I won't say complete sense, but I think the story. Listen,
It's streamlined. Very streamlined.
When you're watching a fucking, this is the thing that, like, when I read bad reviews that are like the story is fucking like blah blah and the characters are this and that, like. When I read reviews like that, it pisses me off because it's like, dude, you got to know what the fuck you're getting into when you watch
this
a movie.
Film is
this movie
advertised. It's as advertised.
The story in this movie works for the movie, and it gets the monsters where they fucking need to be when they need to fucking be there. And that is all I could fucking ever ask for, and it didn't fucking bore the shit out of me. Like, the monsters were always Godzilla wasn't always doing something, but King Kong was always doing something. He was doing a
shit ton. He did a shit ton.
Yeah, he was like the star of the movie, basically, even though like Godzilla's like the co-star. But you didn't always know where Godzilla was. So the story didn't always make complete sense. I'll give you an example right now where they're on the... This cracks me the fuck up. When they're on the aircraft carrier and they're like, we're avoiding Godzilla's territorial waters. I'm like, oh, that's probably a good idea. And then, like, they're just floating, they're floating. All of a sudden, Godzilla just comes out of fucking nowhere and they're just staring at a sonar screen. And they're like, Godzilla's coming. I'm like, no fucking shit, you have sonar. You didn't see this fucking guy coming.
Well, before they eat, because that's one of the plot holes that I have written down. Before anyone on the ship knows Godzilla is there, the little girl knows that Godzilla is there.
That little girl, though, was like literally a Jedi fucking knight because she's signing to Kong. Like, she is the
That's another plot hole. I'll get to that. But that's,
I can buy that she could feel Godzilla.
She was a native of Skull Island.
Well, she's deaf. So if she just puts her fucking hand on the thing, she can feel his vibrations. I bought that. I was like, that happened. I was like, okay, I understand what's going on. But at that point, when she's feeling it, they should see this motherfucker on sonar.
Yeah, my problem isn't that she sees it. It's my problem that she sees it before it shows up on anything. Because everyone on the ship is either not paying attention or because like Godzilla's fucking huge. You would know he's coming.
Yeah. Even
Kong would know he's coming.
Kong was already pissed off.
He was reacting. Yeah.
Like by the time she got upstairs and started like signing to them, and then they were like,
wasn't Kong?
Kong was already fucking like smacking the thing and like freaking out.
He knew shit was going down.
And that's like before Godzilla even got there. They're like, we need to let him loose, and they're like, are you fucking insane? We can't do that.
But their sonars must not have a very long range, or Godzilla's just fucking zooming.
That's the only explanation. But if you're in a situation where you're transporting a giant monster and you're actively trying to avoid
another giant monster,
Godzilla, I would think that your ships should be equipped with like the most advanced sonar.
This should be the most advanced shit of all time.
You have fucking crafts that can fucking go through like intergravitational fucking fields that would like rip human beings apart. without fucking killing you and like bringing you basically to like another.
But
fucking...
that was a corporation. This was the
But the corporation is like funding the entire project, though.
Okay, because that's why I wasn't sure if it was the corporations. Like,
Yeah, the
they were
fucking
military.
Alexander Skarsgård is not fucking funding the operation. He was just a bum writing book, like unsold books. He headed the operation, but the corporation was funding the entire thing.
Well,
That's why they sent fucking the hot fucking Maria Simmons.
That chick is so fucking
She's
hot.
so.
She was in the From Dusk Till Dawn series that I love, and every episode I was just drooling watching it. Like I still. Fuck. What? Yeah. Was it Eliza?
Eliza Gonzalez.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's Gonzalez, but on our print sheet here it's Gonzalez.
Sorry, I had a little.
Oh,
typo.
This is yours.
I hand typed all of this. I wanted us to be very prepared. I'm trying to take this podcast to the next level, but apparently I'm getting typos in here. I handmade all of this, and you're laughing at me.
No, I appreciate it.
I took all these pictures. I printed everything out.
Okay, that makes this amazing then, because I've been looking at fucking Rebecca Hall's character this entire time and just wanting to laugh so hard because her description. I thought this was from some website.
No,
I thought this was like IMDb, like had sheets that you could print out. Kong's anthropological linguist and Gina's adopted mother. It's true, but I was just like, damn.
Rebecca Hall's kind of hot to me in a weird way. If I'm just gonna be honest,
I don't think she was hot in the movie, but she looks better.
She looks like.
Let's not objectify women too much on this podcast.
Oh my god, I can't say anyone's hot now. Can't cancel me. Fuck Midnight Miles.
Look at this picture that Buddy chose of Millie Bobby Brown. Well, I actually thought was like
she looks like she's
her.
20 years older.
I
than
thought
that.
it was fucking her when I was looking at this, and then I was like, Millie Bobby Brown.
It's because it's in black and white. In the regular one, she looks normal.
Godzilla and podcast fan.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you think
Millie Bobby Brown's out there listening to this podcast right now.
Well, her dude, this picture doesn't even look real. This looks like it's fucking CG. His face.
I'm gonna have to upload these to our Patreon.
I feel bad for audio only listeners.
Look at his forehead. It doesn't even look like his facial. Like, I honestly looks like a man.
He looks like he's wearing prosthetic makeup. Yeah. Like he looks like fucking John Travolta in Hairspray.
Yeah, he doesn't even look real.
For the listeners, I will upload the cheat sheet I made. It'll be up on our Twitter.
I've been trying to talk about the film, and we got
Okay, while we're talking about plot holes and while we're on the aircraft carrier, I'll bring this up because
don't bring up the fucking physics because it's gonna make me.
No. There's no physics. I'm not gonna bring up anything scientific like that. I do like on the aircraft carrier because that's a callback to the original Kong because they also bring him. On a fucking ship. But here's the thing. So obviously,
don't they just drag him on like a raft?
He's on a raft that's rigged with dynamite. So if he does wake up or try to escape, it kills him instantly. But okay, so a big plot point in this film is Kong can communicate through sign language. Mm-hmm. It's a big revelation. The scientists that have been studying Kong for years are dumbfounded on how he knows sign language, even though he's under 24-hour surveillance in his fucking bubble. They don't know that at some point he learns that because that's a big because these are some of the
Truman Show. He's basically in the Truman Show.
Well, these are some of the reasons I didn't rate it as high as Jarrod would have liked, because you can assume he's under 24-hour surveillance. So I don't know why they're not paying attention that he's doing this fucking shit, unless there are some periods of time where this little girl is in there unsupervised with Kong, which wouldn't make any sense because why would you have her in there unsupervised with Kong?
She sneaks in, I'm assuming.
Just like they snuck into the fucking thing and no one caught them when they're... Another plot hole, but that's fine.
I mean, listen, again, this is a fucking giant monster movie.
I know,
and I don't fucking apply logic to it.
It's popcorn entertainment, I get it.
Why didn't the fucking people at the base of Mount Fuji just turn into skeletons when Hedorah flew by them like all the other people fucking did in Godzilla vs. Hedorah?
But that film fucking rips. We just watched that.
I don't know. I rated it lower than Godzilla vs. Kong. It had nothing to do with the logicals in it. I'll tell you that right now.
My 2 cents in Godzilla vs. Kong, because I started. I think for as streamlined as the plot was, there were plot holes completely, and I think we talked about this before the podcast even rolling. I think some of it was like maybe they edited certain characters' things off of the film.
Well, the film was short. Like, it's under 2 hours, and I saw online that there were
By the way, that's not short for me.
Well, I saw... Well, compared to the other two films, it's like...
But compared to modern fucking blockbusters at any point in time now, they all have to be 17 hours long.
It flew by in 2 hours. Like, honestly, like, I remember getting into the theater... I blinked like 5 times.
That's great. That's how I want a fucking 2 hour movie to be.
It is great, but like I feel like some of the like
when that shit ends and I'm like, that was 2 hours? And I'm like, that's how I want to fucking feel. Not like, fuck, this is like fucking checking in an hour in and like, fuck, we have another hour left of this fucking, I got shit to do today. Like, fuck.
But I did see online there was a lot of stuff that was cut out because I guess there was a lot more scenes with like the people that work at Monarch, like Millie Bobby Brown's character's dad. And then also the CEO and stuff.
I talked about that before we started because it felt like there was. Like, the way they edited his character, I was like, I feel like they shot more for him because some things didn't make sense.
And, like, you also have to think that because this film was supposed to come out last year, like, they had to have been making tweaks to it, like, throughout the process. Like, because they had a whole year in post where they were fine-tuning it and shit like that.
The whole film is streamlined. That in not a bad way because it's as advertised, like I said. Like... It gets to the fights. It gets to the important parts. It gets to the Hollow Earth. It does like it. It's there's no wasted fucking time. But when you look at some of like the characters' like motives and the things they do, you're like, maybe there's more to this film than what, like you said, than what was shown. But I don't feel like it affected the film for me, that I would have lowered the score because it's as advertised. Like this is the film that I would be the most forgiving of too, because they've built the mythology between the last two films. The Titans, they've explained things, they've explained Monarch. They have characters that are now recurring in this new film. So what is this? It's Godzilla versus Kong, spoiler, teaming up, which was fucking badass, to fight Mechagodzilla, which was fucking cool too. Like I wanted them to team up because I like both of them. And the respect at the end and everything, but it's kind of like I figured this was like, fuck the story. We're gonna try to get to what we need to get to as fast as possible. The film could have been longer for me because it did feel very short, not in a bad way, but
I think it could have been longer with more monster fights.
I would have liked it to be longer.
But I was satisfied with the monster fights.
It was very.
I didn't come out of the theater thinking, "Fuck, I wish they would have had more monster fights." Like I did in fucking Godzilla 2014. But at the same time, if you would have added 20 more minutes of monster fights, you wouldn't have fucking caught me complaining.
Well, and another thing that is a big positive to this one is there's a monster on screen pretty much the entire time. Because Kong is the main character of the film, basically. He's there the entire time. I would have liked more Godzilla, so I think they could have
check this out, though. And in this movie, I think is the first time, I don't think he does in 2014, ever fucking just show up and just destroy shit.
No, they turn him heel immediately in this.
And they don't even turn him heel, though. It's just kind of implied that he's heel. But like as I'm watching it and I see what he's doing, and like the whole movie, they're questioning it. They're like, why is Godzilla doing this? Why is Godzilla doing this? So that's already implanting in your brain, okay, he's doing this for something. And me knowing this already going into the movie, thinking like,
it's either there's
going to be some sort of mecha villain. He's attacking this tech company. So like right at the beginning of the movie, I'm like, oh, he's fucking, and like even before he shows up, the guy is snooping around like they're doing something here. They're doing something fucking crazy.
Right,
and then Godzilla shows up and fucking blows the whole shit up.
And you see that like mech eye, and you're like, so it's nice because it lures you in. And you're like, oh, there's gonna be some crazy fight towards the end of the film. Like I'm hooked. Like I'm hooked. Like I'm ready. I'm on the ride. Like the opening of this film. If we're gonna talk about the film, the opening of this film is fucking great. Godzilla shows up, fucks up the tech company.
That shit was awesome. I barely saw the eye because I was too busy watching Godzilla in the background just blow shit up.
But I think it's I think the film hooks you right away, and that should not be understated because it doesn't fuck around with a bunch of exposition and a bunch of things and characters. It's like, here's where we are. This is what we're doing. We know. I feel like the film knows what it is. So like it knows what it is. It knows that it has to be a huge mega monster fight, and it's like, what's the best way to do that? We'll get some story because you need to have some story to bring it along, but we're gonna just shoot up
Yeah, that's
shots
not
right
the
away.
point. The story's not the point.
Right, and they know that. They
you
need
want to
to
get
be
to the
able to-
thing, and the thing that I like about the story and why I'm going to continue to praise the story is because it was fucking good in getting the fucking, like, getting to the shit that we needed to see.
I watched a couple of people say, like...
And like... this movie does know what it is because Adam Wingard is a fan.
Yeah,
he
he's
fucking
a
wanted to
huge
cast
fan.
James Rolfe in a cameo.
I know.
for
I
it.
watched James's review.
Yeah.
James, but he's like, yeah, I got my daughter being born. I can't be in fucking Godzilla.
He said, like, I watched...
That
people
must have
say-
been a hard decision.
That must
for
have
him
been
to make.
really heartbreaking. Yeah.
Yeah, I probably would have missed my daughter being born to be in a Godzilla movie, dude. That's like an all-time fucking dream.
He said...
I would be like, listen, honey, I know I wasn't there when you were born, but look at this fucking movie, dude. Look at this. I'm in this building right here. I'm a scientist in this building. Like, I'd be like, all right, I'm going to miss my daughter being born, but I want the fucking shot.
Yeah.
You know the shot that I'm talking about.
Right.
Where I'm standing at a window and then Godzilla's fucking face just pops up and just fucking blows like a fucking, like, goddamn, like, energy beam right at me. And
Well,
I'm just
hey,
like, ah! That's fucking-
if they keep shit going, man, I mean, he'll have other chances to be in them because I mean, he's cool with the fucking composer and the director of this one. So I mean,
Adam,
he'll be all
I
right.
feel like somebody pointed out, a couple people online, like Adam Wingard was the first person like a bunch of people pointed out, like, who like understood what a kaiju movie should be in America, like to American audiences. Like,
I don't know, because whoever directed King of Monsters, I think, understood it
Michael
too.
Dory, fucking goat, man.
Oh yeah, Trick or Treat, and
Trick or
and,
Treat, yeah.
and he wrote most of the X-Men sequels.
Well, and he was the-
also
he-
didn't he co-write this?
Well, he is the supervisor of the MonsterVerse, so he's like the one that is in charge of the overarching
That's
stories.
an Ohio
and all.
boy too. He's from Ohio.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice
I
to
mean,
see
I
Ohio
really, I
guy.
don't want to undersell King of Monsters because I really fucking enjoyed that movie. And it's just the only thing that held that shit down for me was that they felt the need to fucking kind of like dirty up the fights a lot in it. But there was a lot of fucking fights and the action kept
Can
coming.
we at least like admit that? Thank God, Legendary and Warner Brothers, all three directors for these films, hired people that actually love Godzilla. So at least, even regardless of the quality, like at least I feel like
Fuck, does Gareth Edwards really like Godzilla? He said
It didn't seem
it didn't
like it.
fucking seem like it. He sure as fuck didn't want to put him on the screen.
he's a big like
He
one of
did
his
say
films-
one of the more like he did explain it in a way that made sense to me as a Godzilla fan, but I was still disappointed. He said that like if you watch any of the old Godzilla movies, you barely ever fucking see him in those too. Which is true.
I like Gareth Edwards, and like I said a little bit in our
10
our
Cloverfield
group
Lane was
chat.
good.
He did 10 Cloverfield Lane?
I think
didn't- I
he either
didn't see
did that
it.
or Cloverfield. It was one of the two.
He didn't do Cloverfield. He did Monsters, which I think is extremely underrated. Like that film about two people basically hiking out of a quarantine zone of like where monsters landed. I think they landed in Mexico and they're trying to get to America. And two reporters.
He didn't do it. What?
Two reporters. He did Monsters and then he wrote the Monsters sequel. But he's also like a CG artist too. So like I feel like he understands like I think that's how he got Godzilla because he understands like what it takes to shoot
Right.
these massive things. But he did Rogue One, and then he wanted a much darker film, and Disney kept butchering him and neutering him and brought things in, and I feel like it fucked his career because.
Well, Rogue
he
One
came-
was still the best Star
And-
Wars movie they've put out
and
since
Rogue-
the 70s.
Rogue One's
but-
thank you. Rogue One's a phenomenal Star Wars film, and I feel
It's
like
better than Episode 3?
yeah.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Fuck, Episode 3 rips!
Episode 3 does rip, but some of the dialogue when you go back because I've rewatched the trilogy.
No, he had the fucking high ground, dude!
Well, no, but some of the dialogue when you watch it in like certain like scenes earlier in the film is horrible. Like the way they say words, I'm like, no human would ever talk like this. Like it's bad. Like George Lucas's script on that is, sorry George Lucas, but it's a little butt on that.
Right.
But the film,
Okay, listen, it's Star Wars, man. I'm not fucking... Half the people fucking talking some language that doesn't even fucking exist, so...
Right. But getting back to Kong, because I know Jarrod and I don't know if Miles knows this, but I'm notorious for giving Adam Wingard a lot of shit on the podcast.
and I like Adam Wingard a lot.
I will.
So-
I'm not a fan of a lot of his thing. I will say that in this, he sort of found his niche. he found what he can do really well. Like, I think that this is better than Your Next. I think this is his best film.
I'll say it's better than Your Next, but that's bias on my part because I just love Godzilla. I think that it's better probably than Your Next. And I think I like The Guest better. I think The Guest is better than Your Next.
The Guest is probably one of the best thrillers in the past.
Buddy hates The Guest.
I'm just going to melt in this couch.
Buddy hates The Guest, bro. I don't understand it
And the soundtrack to The Guest is flawless.
He's like, bro, it's so cliche. Shut the fuck up, bro.
The synth soundtrack and everything in
that shit makes me
so good.
Maybe this is why you hate it, but like I was watching that movie, it makes me think of the Terminator so much, and I fucking love it.
The two things I like about The Guest have nothing to do with the story at all. I like the soundtrack, and I like that the aesthetic is Halloween, even though Halloween has nothing really to do with the story, but it's Halloween time during, like, there's decorations, there's all that. But I think the film blows, but that's fine.
No,
I mean, it's not one of the worst films of all time, but I don't get that. Well, you guys talk about
I'd
it.
slap you out the window if you thought it was.
Well,
the
you
worst
guys
film
talk
of all
about it
time.
like it's the fucking second coming of Christ.
No,
Like,
it's just a good fucking movie.
I really think that he is.
I don't think Godzilla vs. Kong is the second coming of Christ,
No.
but I fucking freaked out because you gave it 3 stars, and I freaked out on our Fred Ed Poggy because he said it was garbage, and I was like, "You're fucking stupid as hell!" Like that's one of the worst takes ever for a kid that I actually thought enjoyed giant monster movies, and so when you get everything a giant monster movie is supposed to fucking be, and then say it sucks, then I feel like you don't deserve to watch giant monster movies. Idiot. Anyways, Kong's on the fucking. He's scratching his ass on the fucking dome thing. That's how they explained away that, you know, all the shit was going on and he didn't show up. And
King of Monsters.
good explanation, good enough explanation for me. You know what I mean? Like they already know that Godzilla and Kong are ancient rivals. You don't want those fucking two around in the same fucking place because you already saw what happened when fucking Godzilla and King Ghidorah fucking got around each other. It wasn't fucking good for anyone involved, especially Mothra.
especially Mothra.
Mothra has an egg left?
I think so. That's why, because like I'm wondering, because this is jumping way fucking ahead, but there was no post-credit scene, so a lot of people are speculating this is the last one, but it's gonna make so much fucking money. I can't imagine this would be the last one.
The explanation that I read online is that King of Monsters was not a box office flop, but it performed disappointing. Like they were disappointed with the numbers, and so they made Godzilla vs. Kong
in a way that you could continue it, but you could
and so
end it.
if this flopped or was a box office disappointment, which I don't think it's going to be, there's so much hype behind it right now. It's making me super happy.
I would say it's the exact opposite. I think this is saved movie theaters, pretty much. This is the first like big release that we've gotten.
So what I read was that it's already done $100+ million in China alone, which was like.
Well, it released internationally a week earlier than we got it here.
But like,
Well, it just all right. The one thing that I know is that it made $9 million on Wednesday, day one in domestic, which is the highest for fucking COVID era.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this has already made over $200 million on like limited seating, limited everything.
Right.
So the fact is, it's gonna make back its entire budget. Maybe
It's sold out like limited seating for like a lot of shit, and like you said, like with ours, it was we had shitty seats because it was fucking
sold out.
Sold out.
Sold out.
I think it's gonna do. They're like the projections and stuff were like. It's going to make over its budget. It's going to make its marketing budget, and it should go into the green. It should be a profitable. How profitable?
Well, King of the Monsters was profitable. It
just didn't meet
broke
their
its budget by
expectation.
like $200 million, but like it didn't fucking meet their expectation. Like because Godzilla 2014 and I think Kong Skull Island both made over $500 million. And like,
yeah, they were pretty big.
Fucking King of Monsters made like 312
you
or
have to
something like
think
that.
in China during even COVID and everything.
So they didn't go over by 200 million, but I think their budget was like 200 million for that, and like the fucking they grossed 312.
Well,
or something like
we're
that.
not even talking about Japan. Like China in a week did over 100-some million.
It's probably not even out in Japan yet.
Like
I don't know if it is, but it's probably not because Japan gets things super late.
Super late, yeah, you're right. But like honestly, like they're projecting already at least worldwide, even during limited COVID, it's probably at least 350
Right,
million.
and I'm sure. I mean, because there's even the HBO Max stuff. I'm sure there's a way to like count how many people signed up for a subscription to watch this film.
Oh, I'm
and
sure
how many
it's
like
made a
stream.
ton of
I mean,
money.
like
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know how they get the money from that, but I'm sure. I mean, they have to be making a shit ton off of that too.
They just probably count the amount of streams that it's had from HBO Max and basically
it pays it out to the
kind of account.
The initial, whatever the initial contract was for that was probably paid up front. So if it was $1 billion, if it was $2 billion, like that's why they're probably like, oh, it doesn't even fucking matter because
Maisie's dad's watched it twice already on HBO Max. He's fucking. Here's the thing that I think is going to save this is that it's gotten, for whatever reason, and probably why I fucking loved King of Monsters, like hyped King of Monsters so much, is because it got terrible fucking reviews. That movie was fucking bodied by critics. This movie is getting a lot better reviews. And I don't see why, because it's literally it's like the same fucking formula. As King of Monsters.
There's not that.
The only thing that I can say is different is that the fight scenes are better because they're in clearer view, and the fight choreography is better. And I would argue that the major players in it are more iconic than the major players in King of Monsters.
Yeah.
Which is still ridiculous because the major players in King of Monsters were super fucking iconic. Fucking Ghidorah, Mothra and Rodan was in there. Rodan was like Ghidorah's fucking tag team partner, right?
I think that honestly, when they were talking about
Ghidorah, Rodan, and Mothra, none of them are as big as Kong.
No,
and I would argue that even then, I don't think that they're as iconic as Mechagodzilla either.
Mechagodzilla is super iconic. When I was thinking about this, though,
Mechagodzilla was I hate to keep cutting. I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off, but Mechagodzilla was my favorite Godzilla villain when I was a kid because he was literally just a robot Godzilla.
Yeah, he's great, super great. But when I think about when they shot these films, the way they talked about doing it, like I was kind of like disappointed at first, where I was like, oh, they're gonna do Godzilla versus Kong last. Where in my brain I was like, damn, I kind of want them to do King of Monsters last, and then Kong's in that, and maybe Kong teams up with Godzilla and like fights all these monsters. I thought that'd be fucking dope. Where I was kind of like at the time, I was like, I don't really like. I wish they were doing like King of Monsters last in some way and doing Kong second, especially because Kong Skull Island came out so long ago. Honestly, like.
Right.
Isn't that film 5 or 6 years old?
It came out in like
before,
2015, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah. So like I was just like, you think Kong hasn't been on screen in a while. That it matters, but it's still 5 years, 6 years, but 5 years, definitely not 6 years.
He'll probably, because this is going to do well, and then he'll probably have a movie that's probably going to underperform, like Kong fucking
in the Monsterverse or some shit.
Like
he's
Kong
just underground,
and
Hollow Earth, Hollow
Earth or something.
Because they could do so much.
It'll be like fucking Thor Ragnarok or some shit like that.
You know what I would love?
What other monsters can we introduce to the Monsterverse where we get like an Avengers fucking team for Godzilla?
They would never fucking do this, but I would.
Gamera, like that would be amazing.
Gamera would be so good.
They would never fucking do this, but I would.
The movie wouldn't make any fucking.
Never
money.
mind, I'll just die. It's fine.
Sorry,
I'll just die. It's fine.
It wouldn't make any money. That's all I'm saying. Go ahead.
If they did the entire film in Hollow Earth with no human characters, and it's a fucking silent film, but you just do everything through musical cues, facial expressions from Kong, it'd be incredible. They would never fucking do it because it would bomb, but.
I don't
think
even think
great.
in modern America it would bomb as bad as you think. Like people would still show up to fucking like see it.
I think it would. I think people would show up initially. I think it would get bad reviews though.
Oh yeah,
and
unless people
like
came
Monsters.
Unless people came off like, oh my god.
Because I think Kong could carry the film. I mean,
yeah,
like,
but I think like maybe
he carries every movie that he's in. Like the human characters don't carry. I got news for everybody that fucking criticizes human characters in monster movies. They've never carried a single fucking monster movie in the history of monster movies. It's always carried by the fucking monster. Watch these fucking movies and educate yourself. And know in your heart that you went to see the fucking monsters and not the fucking people. I didn't give a fuck that Millie Bobby Brown was in this fucking movie.
who cares?
They showed her in the fucking trailer. I was like, man, I wouldn't care if they opened the movie explaining that she got stomped by fucking Godzilla off screen and was dead. Nobody would fucking care.
I feel bad. We're looking at Buddy's cast notes, and you look at all the characters, and you're like, they all did nothing. Like, honestly, like, I appreciate
He revived Kong. Alexander Skarsgård revived Kong.
How did they know that was gonna work?
It was just a hunch. Yeah. They didn't know it was going to work, but he was dying.
Could have killed him instantly.
He was dying, and they had nothing else that they could, try. And he was like, "We're gonna fucking supercharge his heart or whatever. Fucking give him a shock, and if it works, good. If it doesn't work, then what the fuck else can we do?" That's how I look at it. It's a desperation fucking move. Sometimes that happens in movies.
Let's address it. I'm happy that they picked a definitive winner and they didn't do it like, oh, it's a tie or some bullshit. No, Godzilla kicked his ass.
Godzilla beat the fuck out of this guy both times they met. Like, Kong got some shots in, Kong literally hit Godzilla with his hardest shot, and then the guy fucking, I think it was Skarsgård. Yeah, Skarsgård shows up with the dumbest line in the fucking movie. I literally rolled my eyes into the back of my fucking head when he said it. He was like, "Looks like round 2 goes to Kong." 10 seconds later, Godzilla's up just beating the fucking piss out of Kong.
There was already that that meme of Michael Jordan from The Last Dance. It's like, and I took that personally, and it's just Godzilla's face on but like he says that.
Oh, so good. Yeah, he just got right up and then fucking beat the fuck out of Kong and stomped on his chest and screamed at him like, "You're a bitch!" And Kong was like, "Fuck!" The hardest shot in the movie, by the way. Every man in that fucking movie theater's fucking dick was rock hard during that
flexing as hard as possible.
Literally, I was seriously just so much testosterone was flowing through my body when they were screaming at each other. I was just like, "Fuck!" Miles, you were like, "Fuck, legends!"
I think I did say legends out loud. I think I did scream legends out loud.
You said legends like 6 times in that movie.
Because there's so many.
I swear to God, Cock sat in a throne and you're like, "Legend!"
I definitely did, because that scene was great. That scene was... I don't know. There was a lot of just really great fucking shots in this film, and still, even Kong losing to Godzilla, fuck, man, Kong still put on a great showing. I'll throw it in there for him because I like Kong and Godzilla. Obviously, I like Godzilla more. I'm not gonna fight about this on the podcast, but
Godzilla's better.
But they do make Kong very likable in the film.
He's likable in Skull Island too.
He is.
He's super sympathetic.
I barely remember anything from Skull Island.
Kong's been sympathetic in every American movie he's ever been in.
They've done a very good job characterizing and making him feel like an actual he's more fucking human or likable, like you said, than the cast surrounding him. He can carry a film. Godzilla can carry a film too, but it's just different the way they project both of them.
Well, you can't really shoot Godzilla anymore like you did in fucking Godzilla versus Hetero, where the fucking child runs up, "Godzilla!"
Yeah,
and he's like, "Rrr," and then turns around and goes back into the ocean.
How many Godzilla
you can't do that shit anymore.
How many Godzilla films does a child basically just be best friends with Godzilla?
Dude,
multiple. There's so many. Godzilla's like, "Yeah, you're cool. You're a cool guy. I'm gonna fight for you now."
I want to see Godzilla fist bump a child.
Hey, we see Kong touch fingers.
I want to see a child standing on the peak of Mount Fuji, and Godzilla just walks over and fucking fist bumps him, and then the kid falls into the volcano.
I think there were some really hard scenes with Kong when he ripped some of those monsters in half when he got to Hollow Earth. He ripped them, their guts sprayed everywhere, and I was like, "Oh, that's tough."
Fuck, he had a hard scene when he fucking ripped Mechagodzilla's fucking head off.
Yeah.
Just held it up like he was fucking Sub-Zero. Fuck, yeah, God. He's literally Godzilla's just laying on the ground. He's like, "Yeah, you beat my ass, but look at this shit."
They're both... it's good Godzilla won. I think we can all agree on that. But they didn't make Kong look weak. I mean, these were the two alphas. Like, this was an alpha versus an alpha fight, you know? I mean...
Well, I like the Godzilla one because, like, let's fucking face it. if this happened in real life, Godzilla... When we watched King of Monsters, like, the first thing we said on our podcast, I remember to this day, what the fuck is Kong gonna do against this guy? This dude just showed up, bitch smacked Rodan, and then turned himself into an atomic bomb and fucking blew up King Ghidorah.
Well, because we were talking about, like...
Kong would have got ass fucked by King Ghidorah.
That's what we were saying, yeah.
Yeah, he would have.
Probably.
Because Godzilla was getting bitch smacked by him until Mothra died. And then imagine if Kong killed Mothra. Fuck, Kong would have been fucked.
That's true.
You couldn't have brought him back with the fucking spaceship that time. He would have just been, like, disintegrated. Because Godzilla basically, like, achieved, like, the most powerful Godzilla shit he ever did in King of Monsters by basically becoming critical mass Godzilla from fucking Godzilla vs. Destroya, but not fucking killing himself by doing it.
Here's one thing, and I need to rewatch the film. Like, I don't know how well this holds up between the last film and this one, but I just feel like, just on my memory of it, I feel like in King of Monsters, the stakes were just a lot higher. Because Ghidorah is actually gonna fucking destroy the world. Like, in this one, Mechagodzilla is just there to kill Godzilla. Like, there's no, like, grander scheme. Like, Mechagodzilla is there to protect people, basically.
I think there might be an implication that the guy here, Walter Simmons, the main antagonist of the movie, could potentially take over the world with Mechagodzilla.
That's what he was saying. He's like, I want, like, humanity back on top. Like, it's a big ego for it to be like, humans can make a Titan and do everything, you know, and all that.
Right.
Like,
but Ghidorah's literally gonna wipe out humanity.
No, I know.
It's Godzilla and Kong versus corporate greed is what this is. So maybe the stakes aren't that high, but it's still relevant.
It's entertaining. I mean,
I like seeing fucking billionaires get killed by Titans.
Well, who doesn't?
That's the window shot in, like, every movie.
Of course.
Who does he kill in fucking... Doesn't he do that in Final Wars, too? Like, there's, like, just a guy... Yeah, isn't it... He's, like, one of the only actors left from the original Godzilla movie, I think, in Final Wars. And he's, like, just standing at, like, the top of that building like this. And, like, Godzilla just, like, walks up and just fucking, like, blows the shit out of him. It's either Final Wars or...
Well, there's a...
Actually, no, it's Godzilla versus King Ghidorah.
What's the one before Finals? Tokyo SOS? No.
It might be.
Tokyo SOS is the one right before.
Tokyo SOS is pretty good from what I remember,
Final Wars is the only Millennium series that I've made it all the way through. I started watching Godzilla 2000, and I passed the fuck out.
No, but the Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah from the 90s, it's the one where the guy fought with the Godzillasaurus in World War II, so he thinks Godzilla's his friend, so, like, he goes to, like, stand by the building for him, and Godzilla just blasts him straight up.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about. Not in Final Wars, but yeah, so... But he's, like, an actor from, like, the original Godzilla film,
I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure it's, like, a reference to, like, him being, like... And, like the last actor left from the original fucking movie. Unless the suit actor didn't die until, like, the 2000s or some shit like that.
I think the suit actor was alive for a while because he did a bunch of other work for, like,
Well, they took that picture, the 3 generations of Godzilla, so that would have been the...
That's the hardest picture of all time.
So he would have been alive.
Fucking goats, like, walking down the fucking...
Just the caption at the bottom, that must be the biggest street of all time.
Godzilla versus Kong.
Godzilla vs. Kong, what else do you have to say? I feel like we barely talked about the film.
I feel like we barely talked about it, but in the same time, like I said, okay,
can we just, let's bring it down a little bit. Let's say something negative, because I think we can all agree Mechagodzilla looked like shit.
His design was bad.
He looked like a bad Transformers villain.
It didn't bother me, really, though.
It didn't, no, it actually didn't.
I was realized as he came out, I was like, okay, that's a fucking shitty design. But at the same time, I was just kind of stoked that fucking Mechagodzilla was there. And, like, you know, whatever. You know, I was just like, whatever, dude. Like, they're going to fight this dude. It's going to be fucking awesome. And it was.
I kind of wonder with, like...
He fucking bitch smacked both of them.
A lot of these, like, mech design, like, mech stuff for, like, films, like Transformers, anything like that, like...
They're dick, dude. Only the Japanese can design mechs. I'll say it right now.
I don't know.
This
I don't
might be
know.
the most racist thing I've ever said. Only Japanese people can design mechs.
Well, I just don't know how, like, when they're conceptualizing, like, this stuff for these films, because a lot of these mech films, even the Transformer stuff, like, all this stuff looks like slightly similar. Like, how hard is it to make something in CG to make it, like, work for film? Because, like, lighting and everything, like, I mean, like, I don't really know because I'm not a filmmaker, but, like, I kind of wonder, you know, like...
I think that they just go with, like, in the West, they try to, like, okay, if there was a giant robot, what would it realistically look like? Right?
Okay.
Whereas me, I just want to see fucking Mechagodzilla. I just want to see a fucking Gundam. Dude, like, I don't fucking care if it's gonna look like it does in real life. Like,
I mean, it looks good. Like
cool.
Like, it looks good, like, technology wise. Like, it not like it looks like the design just looks like shit. Like, all the CG in the film I thought was good for the most part.
Yeah, I thought it was good CG for pretty much everything.
There was only one, like, moment, like, when Kong was, like, on the aircraft carrier where, like, he was way in the background where it looked kind of, like, weird. But everything else I looked really good.
Did anyone notice, okay, because I've been seeing a lot of things about, like, when they went to the Hollow Earth, that Kong shrunk. Was he smaller?
No, I think they were trying... I know I read something. I think they were trying to sell how massive Hollow Earth was and, like, what, like, a spectacle it was. So, like, people thought Kong looked small. Like,
It's just it's fucking huge.
There was nothing to compare his size to.
Yeah,
it was just like a big fucking gigantic landscape.
When he started fighting, like, the creatures down there... He looked bigger than them. Like, he looked fine. Like, there was no...
The only thing that they had to compare his size to were the fucking spacecrafts. Yeah. And I said, like, in relation to those, I don't think that he ever changed size.
No, I think a lot of it was... Because they had that one shot, if I remember, where it zooms way out. Like, when they first get there and they're free-falling, and doesn't it zoom way back, and you see Kong, and he's like this, and he's small because I think they're trying to sell... This is a huge, like, world landscape. And then you look in the background and the fucking ships are like fleas, like ticks. Like, you can't even fucking see them. And Kong's still, like... You can see Kong, like, he's like this.
Right.
He's a big fucking dude. Like,
yeah, because, like, what Dan was saying, like, when he was doing the jumping on the thing or whatever, that he was smaller. And I was like, I don't think he was smaller. I think that the rocks that were around him were just fucking massive.
I think that it was supposed to be, like, sold that it was, like, just a huge...
Like, this isn't a landscape that we know. Like, there's nothing tangible there for us to compare his size to. It's not like the World Trade Center is down there.
Yeah.
And we could see, like, oh, okay, now he's only half the size of the World Trade Center where he shrunk.
I think it was fine. I think it was just the way that maybe they shot parts, because as soon as he actually landed on the rocks and then some of the creatures and stuff came up to him, like in that fight scene, he was proportionate
Look,
to
that
all
creature
them.
almost killed him. The humans had to save him from the creature.
Bro, it's
I thought they made Kong look weak in that part.
I feel like
because that fucking bat creature almost fucking. It was the only time the humans in a monster movie actually ever fucking accomplished anything.
What, the fucking Mitch McConnell looking guys?
We even watched in just fucking Godzilla versus Hetero.
Hetero was giving Godzilla the fucking business.
Hetero was giving him the business, but at the end of the movie, the humans make this fucking device, right? That's going to turn Hetera into... I keep wanting to call him Hetero now. Hetera into, like... It's going to harden him. And, like... It's just fucking hilarious. I think it's played up for laughs, too. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes because Japanese humor is different than American.
Right.
But, like, every time they're getting ready to use it, something goes wrong. Like, it's not ready yet, or the fucking... Or, like, they try to use it, but it doesn't work. It, like, overheats or some shit like that. But Godzilla walks up to it and blasts it with this fucking thing, and it fucking works. Like, so, like, I think the first time that human characters actually fucking accomplished something was saving Kong's life. And saving both their lives, actually, at the end of this.
I feel like
That's my biggest gripe about this movie, by the way.
I have a nitpick, because I know you guys would argue the human shit doesn't matter. You're there for the monsters, whatever. But it's still... It needs to be addressed, I guess. In the last film, they're using modern technology. And this was like, what, 5 years later? Why are we all of a sudden in, like, 3021 tech here? With these fucking things that can go into the Hollow Earth and like the technology.
It's just that company, though.
Right, but like
it's just implied that this is just like the fucking most cutting edge technological company out there.
But the gap in technology, like, in 5 years is just like astronomical. Like, I understand it's a nitpick. I'm just like...
It's very fucking nitpick for me, honestly.
I don't know, Miles was kind of on board for a second.
I mean, it's a valid point, but it doesn't affect my enjoyment of the movie like even one iota at all.
I think I'm gonna put some final thoughts.
There has to be that level of tech to get a fucking mecha titan into the movie.
Mecha, like
it has to be advanced
robot.
technology.
My final thoughts. Film was as advertised. Did what it needed to do. Looked good. Some of it I do need to rewatch because we're very close. There were some weird CG things like that. But I think they're gonna play off like better the second time I watch it. The storyline stuff, I think a lot of it was just like editing. Like you said, the problem is they had an extra year to just fuck around with this film and streamline it. But I think honestly,
it didn't feel rushed to me.
Didn't feel rushed. Good time. They knew what they were doing. Ton of monster fights. Could have been even more monster fights, but I'm not complaining because fuck it.
There can always be more monster
fights. But I thought
there's always room for more monster fights.
I thought it was good. I would in hindsight really like to rewatch King of Monsters and see how they compare. But
how many monster fights are in King of Monsters?
A lot.
I honestly feel there's like 8 fucking fights in that movie.
But I had a good time. I think it was good. It was exactly what I thought it was going to be, and I'm not disappointed.
My biggest nitpicks for this movie is the fucking. I'll say that like some of the human characters served absolutely no fucking purpose whatsoever. They were just there.
Yeah.
Like Millie Bobby Brown's dad in the movie, like just is there just to fucking argue with her about why Godzilla's doing shit. And then at the end of the movie, he's got egg all over his fucking face because he was wrong about absolutely everything. Her Australian friend, he does absolutely fucking...
Most of the characters, let's be honest, most of the characters serve no fucking purpose in this, but it didn't
Millie Bobby Brown and the janitor guy, I think, serve a purpose.
The conspiracy theory...
They serve the purpose of kind of like bringing the Mechagodzilla to light. It gives us in the audience... like a view of Mechagodzilla of what's actually going on behind the scenes instead of Godzilla and Kong are fighting, all of a sudden fucking Mechagodzilla just busts out, and then they're just like, and then like the fucking guy, Walter Simmons, is just standing in there like, yes, we've been creating Mechagodzilla this entire time. So Millie Bobby Brown and the conspiracy theory guy are good. They serve their purpose. Australian kid did not need to fucking be there. Like I said earlier, with some script reworking, you could have got Millie Bobby Brown's dad in his position. If you needed a third person there and you needed fucking that guy to be in the movie as a reference to King of Monsters and everything like that, you could have reworked it to like Millie Bobby Brown's like, fuck you, dad, I'm going to fucking find this guy or whatever. And he's just like just kind of like, hesitant, but like fuck, all right, like I'm gonna follow you and see what's happening, or he just chases her. They get in an argument and she storms out, steals his car, and so he has to fucking chase after her in another car, and then they end up in that situation, and he can be the fucking guy, or even Millie Bobby Brown could be the guy that takes the fucking flask. I wish this wasn't even in the fucking movie, but like pours it all over the fucking...
So like what happens if the power goes out at this place? Like does Mechagodzilla just die, or what?
The thing about Mechagodzilla is that when that happened, all it did was really stall him for like just a second to give them the opening that Kong needed to fucking chop him up. It didn't really like shut him down, because that would have been really fucking lame if he just shut down completely. Yeah. And then Kong's big moment was just him just beating the fuck the fuck out of an unconscious robot. Like,
yeah.
So, but like that whole scene, like, I do wish that scene didn't exist. Like, I would have been fine with them just failing to hack it. Like in Godzilla vs. Hedorah.
That's the gold standard of how to...
Well, it's in every Godzilla movie. The humans always have some big fucking plan that they're trying to accomplish, and it never fucking works. And it always just ends up egg on their face. The only time the plan's ever worked is Dr. Serizawa with the fucking oxygen destroyer and Gojira. Yeah. And it didn't even fucking work because Godzilla showed up fucking 2 years later and fought Anguirus in fucking Tokyo.
Well, the
Kyoto
oxygen destroyer worked in the last film because it revived him back to life, and it made his fucking son pissed off, and his son became Mechagodzilla, basically.
It didn't explain a lot. That could have been scenes cut out of the movie. It really didn't explain at all his son just being a fucking, like,
well, because
dumbass.
Here's another thing about, like, why I didn't rate it as high, blah, blah, blah. Human shit doesn't matter. It's fine. They had an entire year, because, like, they were probably in post for a year normally, and then it got delayed, so they were effectively in post for another year. Like, through rewrites and through editing, they could have fixed a lot of these, like, plot holes and, like, weird shit that doesn't make sense. For everything they streamlined and everything, you'd think over the past year they could have been like, all right, this doesn't make a lot of sense, we could have changed this, and they didn't. So, that's why I didn't rate it as high, because, I mean, I think about these kind of things. I think of it from that perspective.
That stuff, like, I'm saying this shit, but while I'm watching the movie, like,
Right,
again,
like,
it had absolutely no effect on my enjoyment of the movie, and I have to consider that when I'm watching it. Like, yeah, there were plot holes. Did I really fucking think about them that hard when I was watching the movie? It might have occurred to me at some point, like, oh, it's kind of a plot hole. But fuck, Kong's punching him in the face. I don't fucking care. Monkey brain clicks back on for me at that point.
Exactly.
Like, so I sit here and say, could they have, like, had, like, one scene where Serizawa's son is like, I'm working with Walter Simmons because I'm pissed off at my dad for whatever the fuck he did, and, you know, where he just kind of explains it. Sure, there could have been a couple minute scene where he explained why he's involved with this guy and why he's doing what he's doing. Was I really fucking pissed off that it wasn't in there? No, if I wrote a review about this movie, that probably wouldn't even make it into it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even think about it until I really, really fucking sit there and really try to pick something out.
It's really easy for me to be forgiving for a giant monster film or a CG heavy film, because if the film knows what it is going in, and I can tell, and the director and everyone going in knows what it is, I'm much more forgiving than, let's say, a traditional drama film or a thriller or something where the story has to grip me. The reason I'm here is for a good story. I want good scenes, but, like, I need to be involved in the human aspect of, like, caring about these characters and things like that. The main characters in this are Kong, Godzilla, and Mechagodzilla, and they fulfill their roles, so, like, a lot of the human shit is all over the fucking place.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they do because, listen, when I fucking buy the ticket to see Godzilla vs. Kong, I buy the ticket to see Godzilla vs. Kong. I didn't give, like I said earlier, I don't give a fuck about Alexander Skarsgård. I don't give a fuck about Kaylee Hottle. She did good in this movie. I don't give a fuck about Rebecca Hall. I don't give a fuck about Brian Tyree
He's just
Henry.
going through the
I don't give a fuck about Millie Bobby Brown. She's great in Stranger Things. She did good in this movie too. She was kind of pointless. I don't give a fuck about Josh Valentine. I don't give a fuck about Damian fucking Biker or whatever the fuck his name is. Asa Gonzalez is super hot. I don't give a fuck. Shun Oguri. I respect the Japanese man. I don't give a fuck. Like, Godzilla and Kong showed up. They beat the fuck out of each other. And I was like, yes, my brain is happy with what I'm seeing right now. They were the main characters, and their characters were engaging enough. And they have three other movies leading up to this, building up those characters. So by the time these monsters even fight, you already know what they're all about.
That's the thing.
You know what I mean?
The benefit of that. I agree. Like, that was something that I had mentioned earlier.
Fuck that. Not just three monster movies in this universe. They're fucking over fucking just decades and decades and decades of film history. Like, before Godzilla 2014 even came out, you fucking knew what Godzilla was all about, even though that's the first time he was appearing in that monsterverse. And same with Kong Skull Island. You know what this fucking guy's about. Even though he hasn't fucking grabbed any chicks and fucking, like, climbed any buildings.
Right.
He hasn't had the one scene where he's looking through the window like, Simpy Kong.
Hey, he's a ladies' man. What can you say?
No, Godzilla's the ladies' man. The ladies fucking hate Kong. They're like, fuck, let me go, you fucking stinky monkey. Godzilla's got the pic where he's on the beach with all the fucking girls, dude. Legend.
Incredible stuff.
Godzilla has one of those movies where he's a simp, right? Where they rewrote the script for the fucking...
It was supposed to be a Kong film.
Kong versus, like, Frankenstein or some shit like that.
Godzilla versus the sea monster was originally supposed to be Kong versus the sea monster, but they switched it out to Godzilla.
So Godzilla
And they did
gets simpy over a girl in that one.
Right, and then they did Frankenstein Conquers the World, which then led to War of the Gargantuas.
But they were saying that Godzilla gets resurrected with electricity, which is an element that they took from the Frankenstein versus Kong script.
Because it was supposed to be Godzilla versus Frankenstein, and then it was switched to Kong. This is way off topic, but that's fine. Kong...
Not really that off topic.
Well, Kong gets powered up by the electricity because it was supposed to be the Frankenstein monster.
Okay.
But yeah, my final thoughts about it. I need to rewatch the last film to see which one is better. For some reason, Jarrod thought I hated this film, but I liked the film a lot.
Your score is too low.
I know, but then when I listened to the other podcast, my score was too low for the other one too. So I guess my instinct when I watch one of these films is 3 stars.
Check this out. I'm talking like some of the most logical, most grounded in realism movies I've ever seen still fucking have plot holes in them. And some of them are still fucking 5-star movies because this shit just doesn't fucking matter. It's a movie. You know what I mean? Like, you can overlook some plot holes. I hate when fucking people, it's not really grounded in realism, but there's some plot holes in Terminator 2. You never fucking talk about them. Like, nobody talks about them because they don't fucking matter. They don't. I wanted to punch this kid in the face at Walmart because he said there was a scene during the shootout at the fucking Skynet building or whatever. There's a scene where, like, sparks fly out of a tree or some shit like that.
See, that shit doesn't matter. That's not even a plot hole. That's just
something that could never fucking happen.
Yeah, that's
ever.
not even...
And I was like, dude, you're watching a movie about a fucking, like, a robot that comes from the future.
Some people need to just, like, let things be entertaining, enjoyable.
That's what I'm doing with this.
Godzilla vs Kong. Sure, if I was going to nitpick everything, there's a lot of things wrong with it, and I appreciate Buddy's take on it, because a lot of times
Well, even then, it doesn't affect me that much.
It affected you down to 3 stars?
But as I was saying, the last
It's
film...
a 4-star movie for me. Miles gave it 3.5.
I gave it 3.5, only because, like, that was my initial reaction, and it was one of those films where I was like...
This was an easy 4 for me. I'm like watching the movie and like halfway through, I'm like, dude, this is a fucking 4.
And
I was like, this is such a 4.
And I'm just saying, because like with the last film, my instinct was to rate it a 3. So that's just what my instinct is when I'm watching one of these films. It's probably going to get bumped up. I need to rewatch the other ones. The original one is definitely going probably below 3 stars.
I rank.
I can't put it below 3.
I don't think it was below 3.
I think I had it at 4, and then I bumped it down to 3.5 when King of Monsters came out, and then this came out, and then I bumped it down to 3.
But yeah, I'm curious.
It's just not exciting enough.
But yeah, I'm curious to see which one is actually better, this one or the last one. I know, just don't even worry about them. They're trying to get us to wrap this up, not knowing
this is one of the greatest podcasts we've done in a long time.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't have much else to say about it. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about it in upcoming episodes.
I feel like we're missing some of the things, but
I feel like I need to see it happen. It did happen so fast, the film, and I was so excited to be in the theater again, to be honest. This is one of those ones where I need to, like, for like a podcast review as we're doing, I feel like I almost need to see it again. But
I don't think I need to see it again right now, not for a while. I think that like everything that happened in it is still fresh in my mind, and I think that it just hit just the right way. Like, if I see it again at this point, it might even just water it down a little bit for me. But maybe not, because I saw fucking Dark Knight 3 times in theaters. By the way, that's a movie that's really fucking kind of grounded, and there's a lot of plot holes in that movie.
Right.
5 stars.
phenomenal
Greatest superhero movie I've ever seen in my life.
Phenomenal film.
But yeah, I guess that's pretty much it.
Geekdom 101, you're a fucking chump for saying Dark Knight Rises is fucking
that's
equal
insane.
to or greater than Dark Knight.
That's insane.
You're literally high on meth, bro. That's not even close.
I love Dark Knight Rises, but it's not better than the Dark Knight.
It's not even better than Batman Begins, so go fuck yourself.
No, I did not like that film at all.
What, Batman Begins or Dark Knight Rises?
No, Dark Knight Rises. I was very disappointed.
No, Batman Begins shits on Dark Knight Rises, bro. I like Dark Knight Rises. I think it's a 3. Maybe.
Oh, I'd say it's more than
a... No.
It's not more than a 3.
No, if I don't know what my ratings are right now, if I had to look at my ratings right now, I'd probably say Dark Knight Rises is probably a 3. Dark Knight's 5. Like, I know that's a 5. It's like in my top 10 favorite films ever. And then I'd say Batman Begins is probably 4.5, but I would actually probably give it a 4.
Batman Begins is super fucking good, but I don't know. I just really liked Dark Knight Rises a lot. Nowhere near Dark Knight, but I think part of that too is like once a series gets built up and I feel invested in these characters, I think sometimes by the last sequel, I kind of like a little more forgiving. Like, I'm like, all right, film's great. I'm investing in these characters. The payoff like worked for me. So
Dark Knight Rises is kind of I give them a little bit of credit because the death of Heath Ledger definitely fucking affected the way that movie was written.
Yeah.
Like, fucking goddamn Chris Nolan already said that, like,
he was going to be in it.
When he wrote fucking Dark Knight, that, like, there was already plans in place for Joker to play a big role in the next fucking movie. And then you ended up getting, like, this fucking, like, half-assed version of Bane. Like, Tom Hardy did okay with it. It was alright, but, like, it wasn't really Bane. And, like, and secondly, dude, like, he wasn't even fucking, like, a quarter as charismatic as fucking Heath Ledger as the Joker.
I don't think...
And he was just a fucking simp by the end of the fucking movie. He was just simping for Talia al Ghul the whole fucking movie. Dumbest fucking plot twist. It was just like a random wink to the fans that didn't really fucking work in the movie.
Right, yeah.
Like, it just twisted the plot and it just made Batman look like a fucking idiot, which he's not. Batman's supposed to be like the smartest fucking man on the fucking planet. But no, he's just a fucking simp at the end of the fucking movie. Bane's just a fucking simp at the end of the movie. Everybody's just a fucking simp. And Talia al Ghul is just there for some reason.
I don't think they would have ever been able to make something to really follow up the Dark Knight, though, to be honest. Like, I
know, but it could have been better than Dark Knight Rises. It could have been at least on Batman Begins level.
Right.
I'd have to go back. This one's
Batman Begins is better, bro. Batman Begins is better than Dark Knight Rises.
I like Batman Begins. I like the whole trilogy. I'm a big fan of the trilogy.
I'm a fan of the trilogy as well, but I think the Dark Knight Rises is easily the weakest.
Yeah.
It's easily the weakest. It falls victim to the fucking trilogy curse. Like, easily. And it sucks because that series had so much momentum going into that movie, and then fucking Heath Ledger's death, fucking, like, I know people want to say, like, oh, he's overrated. First off, he's not fucking overrated. Like, he's like,
because I like a lot of his other films, like, a lot. Like,
well, I'm just saying, like, his performance as Joker is considered overrated by some people, which is like, it's dumb, dude. Like, and some people would say. Some people say that people only praise it because he died. That's some Steve shit. Like, he said that Nirvana's only so big because Kurt Cobain died. Shut up, you
They were already literally one of the biggest bands in the world before he died. They debuted...
Joker is the most popular Batman character. It's like every time, dude.
In Utero debuted at #1 in America back when, like, people were selling
How many times did fucking
millions.
Bleach go fucking... Not Bleach, fucking...
Didn't Nevermind
Nevermind's like how many times did it go platinum?
Like
how many times did it go platinum?
Times, yeah.
Even between just their like 3 or 4 albums, didn't they sell like 50, 60 million albums back
If you're to believe what the story is, which I'm not going to get into whether or not it's true or not. Kurt Cobain killed himself because they were so fucking successful, because they were the fucking biggest band in the world, and he never wanted to be the biggest band in the world.
He wrote in Utero, he's like, I'm writing the album I want to write, and I don't think people are going to like it. Like, he literally was just like, I'm going to write
didn't he literally write songs that he, like, actively wanted people to fucking hate the songs on the record?
He's like, I don't think this is, like, I'm not going to write a single.
It's not going to be radio friendly.
Yeah, and he wrote that, and then it was their actual first #1 album, and it, you know, went through the fucking charts, and I still think that's their best album. But
In Utero, it's either that or Insecticide, which is a compilation album, but still I think counts.
In Utero, fuck that.
As far as just studio albums go, In Utero is probably their best.
So
I think that the band got better as they went on.
It's hard. Like, they died. Like, they ended at their peak, in my opinion. Like, they were just like, but fuck. I mean.
But no, Heath Ledger's not overrated as the Joker.
No.
And Dark Knight is the greatest superhero movie I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not going to argue any of this because it's all, you know.
It's all love, brother. All right, well, that's pretty much it for this time. Did you want to announce what we might be doing this October, or you want to keep that under wraps?
No, we can announce it. I don't give a fuck.
Jarrod and I, and you can get involved in some capacity if you'd like, but we're going to be reviewing the Criterion set of the Godzilla. We're going to be watching them all and and doing a ranking, the definitive ranking.
I have the Criterion Godzilla release.
Spoiler alert, Gojira's number 1.
I'll say I have the Gojira release for
Are we gonna do a tier list?
We can either do a tier list or we can rank them. I don't know.
I still think that even if we did a tier list, that Gojira would have to be on a tier of its own, because it's like the only movie in the whole series that like takes itself seriously and fucking is like absolutely fucking like a perfect movie.
It's a different beast. It's a different beast.
Right.
Like the other movies, like maybe Godzilla Raids Again might kind of take itself seriously, but in taking itself seriously kind of gets egg on its face because it's not like a very serious subject matter.
And the tone and like even the visual style of it is already like not up to par.
Right.
And even in the second one.
So like the fucking, but then from that point on, the third movie is Kong versus Godzilla versus King Kong versus Godzilla. And that movie is like the mark where it started to just not take itself seriously. So from that point on, it's like none of these movies are taking themselves seriously, and they're good, but they're just kind of good in their own different way. And I don't think it's even possible for them to match the fucking masterpiece that's Gojira.
It's not gonna match.
It's like an actual fucking masterpiece film to me.
Right. But yeah, so you guys have that to look forward to this October. Have you had a chance to go through that Criterion set? Because there was something I was going to bring up to you earlier, but I figured I'd save it since we're recording.
Just bring it up right now.
No, that's what I'm saying. We'll bring it up when we're recording. Did you know that on that Criterion set, all of them are Japanese with the English subtitles, except for King Kong vs. Godzilla? It's the English version on there and the English version only.
What?
I found that so fucking bizarre. Because I was going through it yesterday because I was like, all right.
In that documentary video I just watched, the guy literally said like he showed a picture of his Criterion
He's wrong.
and said like for the first time we really have access to the Japanese version of this
Unless
movie.
my fucking one is fucked because
Let me see. Go to King Kong versus Godzilla.
if you go to the fucking page here, when you look at all of these, it says black and white in Japanese with English subtitles.
Okay.
You go to the Kong one, it doesn't. That's the only one that's the English one, and I watched it on that disc, and it's in English, and there's the Japanese version is not on it.
That's a sick book, though. I haven't seen that in person.
Yeah, this is fucking sick, but that's fucking
sick.
bullshit.
What the fuck?
I was so astounded because I was like, all right, I'm gonna rewatch King Kong versus Godzilla before the film. I put that disc in, and the Japanese version was not on it. It's only the English one.
All right.
But yeah,
This is Midnight Miles. Those are my thoughts on Godzilla vs. Kong. I'm signing off. I will see you guys for WrestleMania.
These guys want to go get drunk.
I do.
my wife's blowing up my phone. My wife's friends are blowing up my phone.
My wife's kind of blowing up my phone, but I don't know what the fuck she wants.
I don't have a wife. But anyways,
We might meet Miles.
Don't cry, Miles.
We might meet Miles' new girl in a little bit
she's
here.
trying. She's also blowing up my phone. So there's a lot of blowing up at the phone.
Hellacious Holly just asked me if we were still out on Bridge Street because I told
her and I
were
were talking today for a little bit about stuff. So she knew I was coming out, and she's like, yeah, "Of course you'd come out when I'm sick." And I'm like,
Well, I think she might actually come out because she just said, "Are you guys still out?" Or maybe she's just trying
we
to
haven't
come
even
over
gone
here.
out. For clarification, it's 11:45 at night, and we haven't made it out
Well,
yet.
listen, we're about to go tear it up at Iroquois. Dynamite Jarrod, I'll catch your ass down the road.
This is going to be my return to the Iroquois, my illustrious return to Ashtabula. So I'm very excited for the rest of the night. Thank you guys for having me on the podcast. It's been too long. Midnight Miles, I will actually see you
Next week.
next week. I am excited for WrestleMania, but only half the card.
But
you'll get my thoughts on it.
Can we do this, man? Can we fucking... We'll talk about the schematics tonight, but can we make this fucking Three Nerds a podcast?
Oh my God, my heart just skipped a beat.
The Two Nerds podcast has been treading water for a long fucking time, and maybe it's time that we fucking inject some life into it, try something new. Three Nerds a pod. What do you think, buddy?
We'll talk about it. We'll have to figure out the schematics because I mean, getting Miles. Miles here. It's quite
maybe when Miles drops out, maybe we need like a third, like another member, like Miles is like alternate, his like backup.
a rotating third nerd.
Yeah.
I definitely could do quite a bit of them. I could do them on the phone, at least on that, and some of those. But this is probably something we should talk about off air. But I feel like I just won an Oscar. Like I just got I'm like here we go. Like you were now included. Like if that,
I just feel like I can argue with you more. And Buddy, me and Buddy just agree on most things.
You and
except
I
for this movie, I think Buddy fucking is a piece of shit for rating it 3 stars.
I'm very forgiving for either giant robot films, giant monster films, or alien films. And I think like when they hit their marks because
Poggy pissed me off in talking about a franchise where fucking aliens will literally come down to Earth at any fucking moment, talking about the physics on the fucking aircraft carrier.
All right, we've been going on long enough. We got to wrap up this shit. Go get your fucking vaccines. Because it's after...
And go see Godzilla vs. Kong, because we want more of these fucking movies. Hey, hold on. Before we sign off, can we just talk about this? I think we touched on it a little bit earlier. What do we expect? Because this movie's going to do well.
Yeah, where can they go from here?
What are they going to do from here? Like we said earlier, Kong, Hollow Earth, that's probably going to happen.
That's a shoe.
That would be a good one. I would love for them to bring the space element back in, like maybe do some Gigan shit.
Ooh,
you know,
okay.
How about bring back Space Godzilla for the first time ever?
Give him a different name. Give him a different name, but
no, they gotta do it like Mechagodzilla in this movie. One of the cringiest lines in the whole movie. Right? That's like some kind of Robo Godzilla, and they're like, no,
that's some kind of
Mechagodzilla.
That's some kind of space Godzilla.
No, that's some kind of. The hell is some kind of alien Godzilla? No, it's Space Godzilla.
That's a super American thing to say too, calling something Space Godzilla.
That's his name though. In the
Space Godzilla.
I mean, I get it, but it's still like
Space Godzilla. I don't know. But like, do you think Kong and Godzilla will ever team up again?
Yes.
I would be cool with them doing some sort of like I said.
I want to see Godzilla on Hollow Earth. I want to see him go down there.
Well, I think it'd be great if Godzilla went like they made some sort of story where like Godzilla somehow got down there and then like some other creature was terrorizing Earth. And like they were finding a way to get Godzilla and Kong to get up to be like, fuck, we need our saviors.
What if there's a creature that's fucking body bagging Hollow Earth? And if he destroys Hollow Earth, it would destroy the Earth.
Like collapse the Earth or some sort of gravity.
Yeah. So he's fucking up Hollow Earth and Kong can't handle him by himself. So, because they have human characters down in Hollow Earth at the end of this movie.
They did.
They're monitoring and researching everything.
Right.
And so, like, they have the crafts. And the plot could literally just be like, this monster shows up, Kong can't handle him. And so they're like, we have to go up and get Godzilla. We have to get Godzilla
Or it could just start, if they want to start it that way, where you just start... And Godzilla's literally like this, like on his way down to Hollow Earth. Like you don't know why. He's literally like free falling like this, and he's just staring at Godzilla. If we want to get real B movie, and he's like this, like in the Matrix, like Neo, like flying through the air, and it just starts like that. And there's like a ship behind him following. They're like, why is Godzilla going to Hollow Earth? And like he predicts the whole thing. So it's like he gets down to Hollow Earth, and Kong's down there, and he's like, what the fuck are you doing down here? And then all of a sudden, like, something opens, some kind of space-time continuous creature comes through, and Godzilla and Kong look at each other like,
This is your movie where there's no human characters.
Yeah,
like,
Kong and
literally
Godzilla,
just their expressions.
Kong and Godzilla are just staring at each other.
No, fuck the expressions. Give them subtitles like they did in the one fucking Godzilla movie.
Oh yeah.
Fuck. What is that? Godzilla versus Sea Monster?
I think it's is it Gigan?
It might be Gigan.
It's one of the later ones.
Godzilla and Anguirus, and in the English version, they don't even have subtitles. They just have literal shitty English voice.
Godzilla. Okay, Godzilla's arms are longer in this version of Godzilla. What if Godzilla in there? There's this epic scene. I can see it in my head. They're like standing.
His
on
arms
a mountain.
get stretched through the gravitational pull.
It's Kong in this, and you see in the background this like fucking like void, and this monster's coming through. Godzilla and Kong both look at each other. They walk up and they just seriously lock fists, and then they flex, and Godzilla just throws Kong into the void. Godzilla's a flying punch and punches through the creature, and they just start fucking fighting.
It'd be like if they want to do a throwback to King Kong versus Godzilla, literally just have fucking Kong grab Godzilla by the tail and then do the fucking like swing around thing and throw Godzilla at him, and Godzilla's going into the fucking like critical mass mode as he's flying through the air, and when he hits the fucking monster, just fucking nuclear explosion. That's the end of the movie, by the way. There's no way you could start the movie like that.
But then they find out, like, so they're back down on Hollow Earth, and then all of a sudden they see the voids opening bigger, and multiple versions of these creatures are coming through. Like, dozens. So basically then it's just Kong and Godzilla ripping monsters in half for like 30 fucking minutes.
Who's the main enemy monster, though?
Some space fucking, another dimension fucking monster. I don't know. I mean, like either a new one or like, I don't know. Like
Space Godzilla could just be like Hollow Earth Godzilla.
Something like, I would love for them to bring back like Destroyer or some shit.
He's too obscure. I think
I'm a slut for Biollante. I brought it up like 18 times.
Yeah, but like both of those guys, like the '90s exclusive like monsters are like kind of obscure to me. Like Space Godzilla is like only one fucking movie for him. You know what I mean? Like, so they've already done Rodin. Like, Gigan is like
Gigan's prime suspect. Bring him back. Bring back the fucking smog monster, bro.
The problem with Gigan is that, like, I don't think his design lends very well to this universe.
No.
He's got, like, literal, like, fucking... Or is that Mecha Gigan that has, like, the buzzsaw?
No, they both do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know he has spikes on his stomach, but I didn't realize... I don't remember if he actually buzzsaws before he's Mecha Gigan or not. Isn't it weird that Mecha Gigan is, like, the fucking final boss of fucking Final Wars?
It's pretty weird. It's almost like they didn't run out of ideas, but they're kind of just like throwing things against a wall, like what sticks. They're like, we could do this.
Yeah.
But it doesn't come out bad.
No, it's cool, but I mean, yeah, so I mean, there's some good ideas. I'd like to see another fucking, maybe get another standalone Godzilla and another standalone Kong film.
And then you do another.
And don't forget, we have that Mothra egg still, supposedly.
Right. I'm a big Mothra fan.
I fucking hate Mothra because she always beat Godzilla's ass in the old movies.
The Mothra trilogy, those trilogy films, when I was a kid, I used to watch those a lot for some reason. I don't know why. But you guys never saw those.
I've never seen the Mothra standalone. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to see like another, like a Destroy All Monsters scenario, or there's tons of shit that they could do. The future's looking bright if they decide to make more. But we got to wrap this shit up. We'll talk about more of this.
A tournament of power for Godzilla films.
Yeah,
they need to introduce more monsters. Is what really.
I'm fine with it. The more monsters, the better. Even if they're new ones, like just bring all the fucking monsters. How
about Mothra gets a standalone movie when this Mothra egg hatches? And then, like...
What if Mothra and Kong teamed up?
The problem is, do you think a Mothra standalone would do well in U.S. box office?
Even that Mothra trilogy, the one that came out back in the day, is so fucking Japanese. The fact that they even showed it in America, like, on TV. I remember even being as a kid, I was like... This is so niche. Like, it's like so, like...
A lot of people really like Mothra, though, but that's people that are fans within the fucking, like, kaiju.
I like Mothra.
It doesn't have mainstream appeal. It has Godzilla fandom appeal. Yeah. Like, it's not like King Kong or Godzilla where it's really going to bring people in,
Yeah.
All right. Midnight Miles is signing off.
Got your ass down the road, Dynamite Jarrod.
This is Buddy the Bruiser. We will see you next week.
Goodbye.